Career changes aren't that unusual.
But some are more drastic than others.
How do you go from spying on cheating husbands to baking cookies and cakes for a living? Today we're going to meet a couple who made the switch, and they're rolling in the dough.
I'm Michelle, a longtime realtor.
I'm her husband, Mark, a television news anchor.
Together, we've started a podcast.
And we want to hear from you. So, let's talk.
Here we are. This is a funny one. So these are my friends, Carla and Stephanie, and they are retired private investigators.
Ooh.
Kind of exciting.
That's juicy.
Yeah.
It is juicy.
Yeah. At least we think it is.
It is. You get the dirt on people, but you help safeguard companies, and you always get people asking, hey, can you look this up? Can you do this? You know.
I've had several friends before they would go out on a date. We would look them up, and the guy would say they were single, but we found out they were married.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah.
That changes everything.
It changes the whole deal,
right.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the look on their face is priceless.
So mostly when you did do that kind of work, was it work like cheaters?
Well, not really. I had been in the industry for 10 years prior to opening our own. And it really wasn't like we'd go scope out people to see who's cheating or what they're doing. It was for churches, screening their volunteers to make sure there was no sex offenders trying to get into a church. Companies screening their employees, to see if there's any criminal records or felonies.
Let's back up a little bit. How did you get into, let's first of all talk about how did you get into PI work there, and then we'll get to what you do today.
Well, I'd worked for a company for 10 years doing background checks. I was in sales. I knew pretty much the ins and outs. I had a best friend that also worked there. And we've always wanted to own our own company. Mm-hmm. And so we were just at dinner one night with friends. And, I was kind of looking, I just wasn't satisfied. I couldn't go up any higher. Mm-hmm. And I'm too much of a competitive person. I want to move up to as high as possible. And I was high as I could go, even though there was opportunities. And they were like, well, why don't you just start your own? There's plenty to go around. And I'm like, what? And they're like, well, you have 10 years experience. And so she was in law enforcement. And so we got to talking, and they're like, well, that's a perfect match.
It's like a Cagney and Lacey.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then I'm just going to tell you what they do now is it was a very, very natural transition.
Oh, yes.
Easy as pie.
So you are
good one.
Owners of a bakery.
Yes, Just a Bite.
Just a Bite, downtown Main Street in Owasso.
How did that come about?
My friend kind of pushed me back into baking because I never thought I'd get back into it. And they were like, hey, have you heard about Just a Bite? They're closing down, but she's selling pans and things like that. And I said, well, hey, I think we may go check that out. So short story is I looked at the stuff she had, and we sat down, and I didn't know that she had been trying to sell it, but she stopped because she couldn't find the right people. And so we were sitting there, and I said, I don't know. I looked over at Kathy. Kathy was the previous owner. And I said, would you be willing to sell your bakery? So she started crying. I started crying because I'm a fifth generation baker.
I started crying because I've never baked in my life.
Oh, my gosh. Sounds like me.
Oh, yeah, I was terrified.
Oh, that's funny. Mark loves to bake, though. He's
I'm horrible.
Yeah, no, he's good at it.
But it's relaxing, whether it's good or bad, right?
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
We were walking out, and I looked over at her, and I said, did we just buy a bakery? And she's like, yes, and I don't know what to do. Like she was saying, I do not know how to bake. I've never baked in my life. And I was like, and I thought, why did I do this? Why did I do this? But, I followed through.
It's interesting.
I'm like, are you in a midlife crisis? And I told my mother when she was alive, I said, we bought a bakery. And she's like, I couldn't get you in the kitchen. I was in sports, outside playing. I didn't even know how to do scrambled eggs. That's how bad it was.
Honey.
So that was, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
We're out of the pandemic now.
Right.
How have things changed since then?
Well, we're slowly getting our clientele coming in. People are so used to just ordering custom orders and things like that and delivering or, something of that nature. That's how we would get the product to people. And people are just really learning where the bakery is. We're getting more of a regular clientele every day.
Yeah, because that area down there has really grown.
Mm-hmm. They're trying to make it the main, the Broken Arrow, the Rose,
right,
Rose,
the Rose
District.
Mm-hmm.
And we, the Red Bud, that's what they're trying to do. And then all those entities, all those businesses, we all banded together because we needed to help one another. How can we bring in business? Because people are still not quite for sure what to do after the pandemic. It's just been recently, probably the last, I would literally say maybe the last quarter, but probably the last 2 months that people are getting out on a regular basis. So we're turning into, hey,
like a coffee shop, come in.
Yeah, walk in. You can get quiches. You can get gift baskets. We do candy grams. We do all kinds of things. So we're really happy that we have that following and support from our community. It's taking a little bit, but it's getting there. And that's what, all the businesses, people are just still floating around.
Absolutely. We have a lot of friends in the restaurant industry.
Carla, have your baking skills improved over the years?
Oh, yes. When you're forced to, you need to do this, and you're scared to death, and it's like, okay. I really have learned a lot. I don't do the decorating the cakes. That's her deal. But I've come a long way and impressed myself because the biggest challenge was your self-doubt.
I know it makes her happy, Carla happy, also now that she's more relaxed. And when she makes something, she sees the happiness from people. And that's what really carried me through, because at the very beginning of owning Just to Buy, I really thought I made a fatal mistake because emotionally it wasn't working for me because I had lost my mom.
Yeah.
And, it was about my mom and Nana. And I thought, I'm carrying something on, which, that's fine, but it was just the emotional part, and I thought, okay. So after about probably a month or two, I finally, I'm happy now because I love being creative. I love doing things for people that brings happiness to their family or a surprise to a loved one, whatever it is. We do custom orders. All of our cakes, they're not just cookie cutter cakes. We make everything by scratch. There's not anything that we don't make by scratch. We have, people that come in every week for the same thing, standing orders. And, they'll come in and get that quiche, but like for Christmas, they'll have it ready, All they have to do is put it in the oven or in the microwave, whichever preference they have. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so we pretty much set everyone up with what they need to make their holidays a little bit less stressful.
See?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that feels so good. I'm so glad. I have a list in my head already, but, for sure the cookies. We need those this week.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're in the bakery business.
Now you're bringing joy to people and filling empty bellies. So
yes.
I love that.
And
yes.
making beautiful things. Like we make a strawberry Christmas tree. That tower that stands up, it's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And it can be like your centerpiece of,
Neat.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And then you can just pull off that strawberry, eat it, and then,
We'll show some pictures of all of that.
Well, thank you for coming in.
We're all
today.
set up.
Well, thank you for having
Yes, thank you.
Takes the pressure off too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting my
I'm for
cookies.
that.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed our podcast and thank you for spending your time with us. We'll see you next time for another episode of Let's Talk.